Good morning, everybody. I'm the Councillor Peter Murphy. I'm chairing today's Licensing Sub Committee meeting. To enable the meeting to run in an orderly manner, I would ask all present, please ensure that mobile phones are on silent or turned off. When I invite you to speak, please unmute your microphone and then mute it again when finished speaking. The meeting will be following a set procedure. The licensing officer will introduce his report, then I will invite the applicant to put relevant questions to the licensing officer. I will then invite members of the licensing committee to ask questions of the licensing officer. After this, the applicant will have the opportunity to support their case. I will ask the licensing officer, then members, to put their questions to the applicant. Lastly, any objectors will be invited to speak in respect of their objections following my questions. Meanwhile, I would like to start with introductions, so members and officers present, could you all please introduce yourselves, stating your name and position, and we'll start with
Councillor Alex Muscandlin.
Councillor Diane Cutler.
Good morning, my name is Luke Elford. I'm the legal advisor to the committee.
Steve Mahoney, Licensing Officer for Fenland District Council.
Michelle Bishop, Licensing Manager, Fenland District Council.
I'm Linda Alban in Member Services supporting the committee this morning.
I'm Susan Goodwin. I'm the one that's applying for the premises license.
Thank you very much for that. Right, now we'll start. Oh, it's gone again. Right, now we'll ask the licensing officer who will introduce this report, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. I don't propose to read the whole report.
Missed a bit.
Missed a bit. Didn't say PTO. No. Right. I would now like to go to the agenda item 1 and call upon member services to report any apologies for absence, please.
Thank you, Chairman. We've had no apologies.
Right. Agenda item 2, to receive any declarations of interest under the local code of conduct in respect of any items to be discussed at this meeting. If you have anything to declare, please can you raise your hand? No hands raised.
Nothing to declare.
Thank you. Okay, no, carry on. Right, yep.
I'll try again, Chair.
Thank you.
Chair, I don't propose to read the whole report, but there is quite a substantial amount to get through. We're here today, Chair, to consider an application for a new premises licence in respect of 4 North Brink Bar and Rooms, Wisbech, Cambs, PE 13 1JR. A licensing committee is required to discharge its duty and determine this application with a view of promoting the licence objectives. This is because relevant representations have been made against the application. There has been an application submitted for a new premises licence. It is the responsibility of all premises licence holders to demonstrate that suitable and sufficient measures are undertaken to uphold the 4 licence objectives of the Licensing Act 2003. Relevant representations have been received regarding this application from any other persons, local residents, Chair. There is a requirement to hold a hearing to determine the application for a new premises licence, which is why we're here. It's recommendation that the committee determine the application having regard to the evidence presented by the parties to the hearing, the relevant legislation and guidance applicable to this process and the content of this report. Chair, the background. The applicant North Brink Bar and Rooms Limited are applying for a new premises licence for 4 North Brink Bar and Rooms, Wisbeach, Camp, PE 131JR. Mr. Shahid Rafiq is proposed designated premises supervisor responsible for alcohol sales. The application is attached as Appendix B to this report and details the hours sought for licensable activity to take place. It also includes the steps the applicant would take to promote the licence objectives at Section M, should the application be granted. Chair, on the 31st of March 2026, an application was received. The below table highlights the activities and times as applied for. Opening hours every day 9 till 2:30 in the morning, New Year's Eve 2:31 to 09:59. Live music indoors every day 0900 to midnight. Recorded music indoors and outdoors every day 0900 to 0230. New Year's Eve is 0231 to 09:59. And supply of alcohol indoors, outdoors every day from 9 o'clock in the morning to 2 o'clock in the morning. And New Year's Eve will also be 0231 to 09:59. The application was sent up for consultation and was deemed valid as duly made at that point. The consultation, Chair, period ended on the 30th of April 2026. The application was sent electronically to all responsible authorities and public notice of the application was given by way of a site notice, which I inspected. The application was submitted electronically and therefore it was my responsibility, or the licence responsibility, to submit it to all the responsible authorities. Having done so, there were no representations from the fire, public health, environmental health, health and safety, safeguarding, development, licensing, trading standards. There were representations from Cambridgeshire Constabulary, but the conditions were agreed prior to this hearing, so the objections have been removed, Chair. During the consultation period, PC Hawkins, on behalf of Cambridgeshire Constabulary, liaised with the applicant regarding the operating schedule conditions. An agreement was reached for these conditions to be added to the licence subject to it being granted. You can see a copy of those in Appendix C. During the consultation period, 3 objections were received from any other person, local residents. The main concerns raised were in relation to noise nuisance. The Licensing Act 2003 encourages discussion between patrons, making the applications and those serving objections, with the aim of resolving issues of concern, to strike the balance between enabling the applicant to operate in a manner that meets the business needs, aspirations, and the necessary protection of the community. On receiving these objections, contact was made by the local authority, myself, with the applicant, Susan, to advise them on the community concerns and if there was any chance of mediation. I can say that I met with the applicant, Chair. The applicant was happy to mediate with me. Unfortunately, the mediation didn't alleviate the objections. There were 3 objections received with regards to the applicant. A copy of the objections is in Appendix D. Mediation failed to resolve the concerns of the members of public, such as public nuisance, and a hearing is still required today. The objections received fall mainly within the licence objection of public nuisance. We have advised interested parties that where there is mention of other concerns, not because legislation does not allow us to do so. The Licensing Act 2003 seeks to provide public protection by way of the 4 licence objectives. In conclusion, the undertaking is statutory function. The licensing authority must promote the licensing objectives as defined in the Licensing Act 2003. The prevention of crime and disorder, public safety, the prevention of public nuisance, the protection of children from harm. When determining an application for a new premises licence, due regard should be given to the Council's Statement of Licence Policy and the Secretary of State's guidance in Section 182. The committee, in its determination, can take one or more of the following steps as it considers appropriate for the promotion of the licence objectives: to grant the licence subject to such conditions as are consistent with the operating schedule, accompanying the application, modified to such extent as the authority considers necessary for the promotion of the 4 objectives, and any other mandatory conditions which may be included in the licence, or refuse the application. The hearing should be conducted in accordance with the approved procedures, which can be found at Appendix A. Chair, we did mediate with the applicant. Also agreeing with the police conditions, they've also agreed voluntarily not to have music outside. We can only legislate that from 11 o'clock onwards. And they've also agreed to try and limit to put signage and barriers up to stop the customers moving too far down outside of the outside area to limit the noise. Unfortunately, Chair, the three objections aren't here today. Valerie Whitby has got a hospital appointment. Mr. Brian Lake is in Cambridge, and Susan and Claire has removed her objection based on the fact that they won't have music outdoors after 11 o'clock. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Now I'll invite the applicant to put relevant questions to the licensing officer. All yours.
Do you have any questions for the licensing officer about the report that he just read? So any of the procedural questions, what you've agreed with the licensing officer about the application? If you don't, that's absolutely fine.
No.
Okay.
I have no questions this time. Thank you.
Right, now I'll invite members of the licensing committee to ask questions of the licensing officer.
No, I haven't.
No, there's no question to you. Right. The applicant will have an opportunity to support their case. I will ask the licensing officer, then members, to put their questions to the applicant. Are there any questions to the applicant?
Do your presentation.
Have you got a presentation?
I don't really have a presentation. I just wanted to point out a few things. I thought I was going to listen to the concerns of the objections of the public, but other than that, because I'm not sure really what they are. I think our picture might be different because I'm going to be running a hotel, and I do know that there might be like a history behind. Well, how it was run before there was a nightclub. And I think that's where the objections might be. So my application is based on running a boutique hotel. And the times are to provide flexibility for the customers for private hire parties, events. And it's not about that there would be loud music or antisocial behavior. None of that is any of my interests. So
just briefly, have you got the agenda papers with you, the pack that would have been sent to you?
Yeah.
So if you look at the last 3 pages, or in fact of that pack, you'll find the objections. And the concerns relate to the prevention of public nuisance. So I think the councillors might be interested to hear from you how you're going to ensure that you're not going to cause nuisance.
So yes, there was, what I heard was, it was about the beer garden, which we have already scrapped. So there won't be a beer garden. I don't want to be monitoring the gardens anyway, so I find it will be safer. But there will be a small space where the guest can go out, so they can, if they want to have a smoke or if they just want to sit outside. This is purely as a hotel service. You want to allow your guests to be in a safe area. They don't need to go out to the street. If if they want to just have some fresh air. And also just to be able to monitor the litter if they are smoking or anything, so that it's contained within inside the premises. But I don't want to have any loud noises. We are not going to have any music outside, because that would potentially encourage them to stay there. It's yeah, I don't know about residents, dogs living in the area. I'm not sure about that. It says something about selling drugs using youths on bikes offering delivery service. I'm not.
Don't worry about that. That's not a
Yeah.
relevant consideration for the councillors.
Okay.
Is that your presentation finished now?
Yeah, I don't know any police objections relating to the building. I haven't heard. I spoke to the officer and he didn't have any problems with.
Right, thank you very much then.
Thank you.
Right, now I'll ask the licensing officer, then followed by members, to put their questions to the applicant. So the licensing officer, any questions?
Mine's just a curiosity. When I visited Susan, it was in a bit of a poor state. Have you? It's not relevant to this hearing, but have you started to renovate it and get it ready for use?
Yes, the landlord is going to be doing some renovations and it's going to be upgrades to the rooms so that they'll have ensuite. My plan is I'm looking for funding to see, because it's a grade 2 listed building, to see if some of the bits can be restored. And yeah, just providing work for the community. And I do like old buildings, and I have been living in Wisbech for over 2 decades. When I moved in the beginning, the town was very vibrant and there was lots of things happening. So I'm quite keen to get involved, and I just got this opportunity, and I saw it was going to create work. I can provide something that we don't have in Wisbech, because at the moment there isn't really anywhere where people can go and hang out later in the evenings. We have the Park Cafe, loads of people go there, it's very popular. But in the evenings people might want to sit down, just chill out, like a hotel vibe is often more calm. But you can also have, I know from experience, and my colleagues, they normally go to hotels, have meetings, because it's more quiet. You can sit there, there's free Wi-Fi. And just if companies want to have their gatherings and just regular events. So I have plans to have like daytime meetings for just local residents that want to come and have a meet-up chat. So I'm not only thinking about running, as I have been running before, retreats for professionals, psychologists and counselors. I mean, mental health counselors. And they are very popular because I'm also have a background in counseling. I've been working in mental health, and we have a difficulty meeting up with, or just talking about our profession with anyone. It's easier for us to meet up and be able to talk to our colleagues, as the work is quite lonely. So they've been very successful in the past, and that's my plan, to provide those during the weekend or during the week. And often those evenings they go late into the night. It's not that people listen to loud music, but we sit and talk for ages.
Thank you, Susan. No.
Thank you very much. Right, now I'm going to ask members now if they'd ask you questions. But when you answer, could you put your your microphone a little bit closer to you and speak a little bit louder because it's coming over very softly. Right, members, done.
Thank you, Chair. Excuse me. You say there will be no beer garden, so therefore you won't need adequate outside staff to manage that. You did comment there's going to be a small space available outside. What sort of size is that, and is that going to be monitored by staff?
Yes, it will be monitored. There will be cameras outside where the guests are able to access. About the beer garden, it's actually effectively, it used to be a car parking space. The landlord wants to retain that area anyway, so he had no problem of having it or kept it off the part that's going to be accessible for the clients. I still need to have access to the bin area and for fire safety regulations and for deliveries. But other than that,
Thank you. So the people that will collect outside will be fairly close to the building, is that correct? They're not going to
Sorry.
spread further?
any guests, they won't be there, but the staff will be able to go to the bins or the deliveries will be able to enter through that area. There won't be any, I mean, I don't know what the landlord is going to use the land for.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Thank you. What kind of measures are going to be put in place should the license be granted to meet the 4 licensing criteria? Some of them are very important. One relates to public nuisance. So what measures will be put in place by the owners?
Well, we are, as I said, we're not encouraging anyone to go outside. It's purely for people to be able to go and if they're smoking or if they just want to get some fresh air.
Yeah, I see that. But looking at the drawing of the premises for the bar, and the beer garden seems to be about, I would say, over 3/4 of the premises. But there's no indication of what is in that area if you're not going to use it when you've only got the bars up the front. So can you explain that, please?
Yeah, so the big picture isn't really, it's not very up to, if you look at the first bit where it says beer garden, that's where the toilets basically stop inside, and that's where the cutoff point is. We haven't decided yet if it's going to just be painted a strip or if there's actually going to be like gates. But if there was gates, they still need to be able to be opened for obvious reasons. But it will have a sign which says no access, staff only.
Yeah, okay. Leave it there. Thanks.
Anybody else want to? Applicant? No? Oh, Diane.
Sorry, thank you for your previous answer, but I'm still slightly confused as obviously guests are going to be allowed outside for fresh air or smoke. Where is this actual area that they're allowed to go out into?
Yeah, it's just where it says the ground floor, they won't be going past that. Or before, where it says beer garden and ground floor, it's just after the, it's just the toilets. I'm not sure how I can show.
Yeah, I mean, they've got to come
Yeah,
out of this.
It's not gonna. Yeah,
Well, I just think
that's
that's the toilets over this here. That's the bar. So it's this area.
We blocked off there.
Oh,
That's
Okay, so yeah, there's another bit there. Okay. Right, thank you for your answer. That makes sense because there's two areas on here indicated as beer garden.
Yeah.
And I was looking at the lower one. So obviously you're going to block it off at the one between beer garden and ground floor. Thank you.
Yeah, this is only for the licensing. This is to do with the bar area and the licensing. So we'll still have access to the bins, which are at the bottom. And
Any more questions?
No.
Right, no? No? Right, well, what we will do now, the committee will go now and contemplate the what we've been saying, and then we'll be back later to give you our presentation, okay? Thank you. So it'll be a little while, but
Just to explain, Councillor Woolard is going to come with us into the deliberation room. He's not going to take part in the decision itself, but he's there for sort of training purposes, okay? Right.
Thank you very much. Sorry we've been a long time, but we've got it through now and we'll read it out to you, okay?
Thank you, Chair. I'm going to read the decision to you. I'm going to abbreviate slightly, but you will get a written copy of this that you can take away with you. The Licensing Subcommittee, the committee, considered the application for a premises licence for 4 North Brink Barroom Rooms, Wisbeach, PE13 1JR, by North Brink Barroom Rooms Limited, the applicant. The application seeks to provide the following licensable activities: sales of alcohol, live music and recorded music. The application received relevant representations from other persons, and those representations were not all withdrawn, and the committee must therefore determine the application. In reaching its determination, the committee considered the Licensing Act 2003, the Secretary of State's guidance issued under Section 182 of the Licensing Act 2003, Fenland District Council Statement of Licensing Policy, all evidence presented both orally and in writing, both for and against the application, and any legal advice which is set out below, provided by to the committee by its legal advisor. In terms of the legal advice provided, the committee were reminded of the licensing objectives and that each objective carries equal weight. The committee were reminded of their options as regards determining these types of applications, namely, to grant the application for a premises licence, to grant the application for a premises licence modified to such an extent as the committee considered appropriate and proportionate for the promotion of the licensing objectives, to exclude from the scope of the licence any of the licensable activities applied for, to refuse to specify a person as the designated premises supervisor, to reject or to refuse the application. The committee were reminded that they must have regard to the Council's policy in respect of these types of applications, that the overarching legislation is the Licensing Act 2003, and that they must also have regard to the Section 182 guidance. In respect of this application, the committee found certain matters to be irrelevant. Matters of crime and disorder that would fall outside the control of any reasonable premises licence holder were found to be irrelevant. The committee have reached a decision in respect of this application, and it is as follows: to grant the application for a premises licence modified to the following extent: that the opening hours for the premises shall be from 9 AM to midnight each day for members of the public or persons attending a pre-booked event, that the opening hours shall be unrestricted for hotel residents and their guests, that the hours for sales of alcohol, both on and off sales, shall be from 9 AM to 23:30 hours each day to members of the public or persons attending a pre-booked event, and from 9 AM to 2 AM the following day for hotel residents and their guests. That recorded music shall be provided indoors only and from 2300 to 0200 the following morning. That live music shall be performed indoors only and from 2300 to midnight. The licensing committee also modified the operating schedule or the conditions that will apply to the licence. I'm going to highlight some of them for you, but they are all in full here. The first condition is that prior to licensable activities taking place at the premises licence holder will serve on the licensing authority a revised licensing plan that shows the area to be used for licensable activities, including the proposed separation between the rear customer area or smoking area adjacent to the toilets and the rear service area or car park adjacent to the bin store and below. The plan is also to disclose where the designated smoking area will be. Premises licence holder will establish a designating smoking area for use by customers. The premises licence holder will ensure that the designating smoking area is monitored to ensure that no nuisance is caused, and that designating smoking area will be limited to no more than 6 people between the hours of 11 p.m. and 9 a.m. the following day. The premises license holder will install a noise limiting device on any musical amplification system in use at the premises. The noise limiting device must be set at a level that ensures nuisance is not caused to either hotel residents or residential neighbours. The noise limiting device shall be secured by key or password, with access only permitted to persons authorised by the premises licence holder. No additional musical amplification systems shall be used at the premises unless they are routed via the noise limiter. The committee's reasons for reaching the decision were as follows. The committee heard from the licensing officer that the applicant had agreed to modify their application to remove the request to provide live and recorded music outdoors altogether. The committee welcomed that amendment as sensible, as that was an area of significant concern for other persons and for the committee. The committee heard from the applicant regarding the application. The applicant explained that the proposed operation was a hotel and that the bar would be ancillary to the hotel operation. The applicant explained that they would host various events at the hotel, but that these would be low-key in nature. Counselling retreats were cited as an example. The applicant explained that they did not require the entirety of the external area, as shown on the licensing plan for licensable activities, and that they would be happy to restrict customers to a smaller area ending at the end of the customer toilets. The applicant explained that they would need access to the area beyond the customer area for staff and fire safety, which the committee understood and acknowledged. Given that the licensing plan as existing includes areas that are now no longer to be used for licensable activities, the committee determined to impose a condition that the applicant, brackets premises licence holder, serve a revised plan on the licensing authority, clearly showing which areas will and will not be customer areas, as well as where smoking will take place. The committee welcomed the applicant's commitment not to have entertainment outdoors, but felt that on balance, disturbance from music noise from within the premises was a possibility to both hotel guests and persons nearby. On that basis, the committee imposed a condition that the applicant install a noise limiting device on the musical amplification system at the premises. The committee did this to promote the prevention of public nuisance licensing objective. Additionally, the committee will require the applicant to have a noise management plan for the premises. Again, this was felt to be appropriate and proportionate to the licensing objective and to address the concerns raised by other persons. The committee appreciate that the Licensing Act 2003 contains a mechanism to review premises licences, but wish to ensure that problems are prevented before even occurring. Having reviewed the conditions agreed with the police licensing officer, the committee found that several of those conditions were unnecessary and or duplicated existing legislation. The conditions have been significantly reworded to ensure that the conditions on the premises licence are enforceable and in accordance with the Section 182 guidance. Regarding the hours of operation, the committee felt that to address the concerns regarding public nuisance and to maintain use of the bar as ancillary to the hotel operation, modifications to the hours, as I've set out above, were appropriate, and to ensure that access to the bar after a certain time is to hotel residents and their guests only. The committee felt that restricting access to members of the public beyond midnight would assist in promoting the prevention of public nuisance licensing objective and ensure that nuisance would not be caused to hotel guests or the wider public. That is the committee's decision today. You have a right of appeal against the decision to the relevant magistrates' court under section 181 of and schedule 5 to the Licensing Act 2003. Appeals are by way of a complaint to the relevant magistrates' court and must be made within 21 days of the committee's written decision, which is this decision being provided, and you'll be given a copy of the written decision shortly. That's it in terms of the hearing today, and thank you very much for attending and for bearing with us while we got to the decision.
Thank you very much for that. Thank you. I'll now declare the meeting closed. Thank you.